monster fish, living flesh, baby chives, May, Assistant, Clam, Frankenstein, wood spirit. This is the kitchen of black myth, Zhong Kui. Based on the stunning visuals from game science, in this video, we're diving deep into the lore and legends behind the screen to analyze the identities of these characters and ingredients. Also, finding out how to make this Zhong Kui dish. Let's take a look at the creature appearing in the very first scene. With its human face and fish-like body, its features point directly to a legendary being known as the Chiru, from Shanhaijing, the classic of mountains and seas. According to ancient records, Chiru resembles a fish with a human face, and its cry sounds like a mandarin duck. It was said that consuming its flesh could prevent skin diseases. While the traditional Chiru is a mystical being with medicinal properties, the version in this video is far more unsettling. The hideous beast-like face, the sharp fangs, the long whiskers, and a body adorned with 10 fins. None of these grotesque details are recorded in the original texts. This suggests that this creature may not just be a Chiru, but a corrupted version. Or perhaps, what we Chinese call, gui. Now, since we have talked about this, before we go any deeper, we must clarify a concept, gui. In English, gui is often translated as ghost, demon, or spirit. But in Chinese mythology, it is far more complex. To the Western eye, a demon is an inherently evil being, while a ghost is a fragmented shadow of the deceased. But a Chinese gui is, at its heart, an extension of the human experience. Gui are spawned from people. Some are soul continuations of those who live to the end of lives. Others are physical manifestations of extreme obsession, resentment, or desire. They aren't purely evil, but rather shadows with human warmth. They have personalities, tempers, and even follow a bureaucratic law more rigorous than that of the living world. In Chinese mythology, the underworld Ningfu functions like a massive underground government. Gui will go there after death, and the judges evaluate your deeds in your life to decide if you are destined for paradise or punishment. Most importantly, being gui is temporary. Unless you are deified like Zhong Kui or hired as a spectral official, you must eventually drink Mengpo Tang, the soup of oblivion, cross Nai He Qiao, the bridge of helplessness, and enter the cycle of rebirth again. Gui linger in the world for a reason, unaddressed injustice, lingering hatred, or pure malice. This is why a figure like Zhong Kui is necessary, to punish evil with force and settle grievances with divine power, ensuring every soul left behind eventually finds its closure. This is why, throughout this video, I will use the term gui instead of just demon, ghost, or spirit to specify the difference between them. Let's come back to this video. Now our maid is measuring the body, and just a cleanly struck. As the camera pulls back, that reveals an array of professional tools. You can also see the cut is surgical, completely bypassing the internal organs. Our cooking maid is truly a professional master. As the camera moves up, notice the cords tied around the maid's sleeves. This is a Panbo, a practical accessory widely used by the ancient working class to fasten loose sleeves, preventing them from interfering with daily chores like cooking or washing. Next, she picks up a gourd-shaped fruit and tears off its basal leaves. But in reality, gourds, as climbing vines, do not have sepals. Now she opens the tip of this dark fruit and pours its juice to marinate the Chiru meat. We can find out some similar fruits from the classic of the West Mountains, a chapter of Shanhaijing. This fruit could be the fruit of danmu, known to resist fire and cure jaundice. Marinating Chiru with the essence of such a rare fruit promises a dish of unimaginable value and flavor. At this moment, a scruffy assistant enters the frame. He is balding, with pointed ears and tattered clothes, disheveled, yet strangely diligent. Notice the knife previously stuck in the pillar. In the maid's hand, it was barely the size of a palm. In the assistant's hand, it remained small enough to toss around. But, as he approaches the giant clam, the blade extends. Clearly, This is not just an ordinary knife but a magical culinary implement that adjusts its size according to the task at hand. As the assistant pries open the big shell, a humanoid monster sits huddled inside, seemingly bound. The classic 子不语, translated as what the master would not discuss, mentions a creature called Fangbang, the square clam. It's a massive shell housing a blue-faced yiksha. Its body is fused to the shell, making stand and escape impossible. Interestingly, in the 10th century painting 钟馗出猎图轴, the hand scroll of Zhong Kui, Going Out Hunting, by Gu Hongzhong, we can find a balding goi carrying a stool and a clam goi carrying books. This is likely their mythological origin. At first glance, it looks as though the balding gui is carving meat directly from the clam gui. But after the surgery, the two of them continue to chat and laugh as if nothing happened. You may notice the meat in the left hand. It is already neatly tied with a straw rope. This suggests the meat wasn't part of the clam at all, but was being stored inside. In this bizarre kitchen, the humble, introverted clam gui is seen just a refrigerator. As the meat is carved and set, the balding gui reaches out to steal a bite of the Chiru meat, only get a swift, sharp slap to the hand and a look of pure disdain by the maid. This playful dynamic echoes a 17th century painting by Hua Yan, titled 五日钟馗图, the Zhong Kui, on double fifth day. In it, a gui tries to snatch a treat behind Zhong Kui, only to be warned with a sharp knock on the head by a companion. This shows the essence of Chinese gui. They are never just cold, faceless monsters. They possess human frailties, quirks, and a vibrant sense of domesticity. As the maid slams the meat onto the cutting board, a chilling detail emerges. The flesh has living eyes. The eyes even blink in terror, sensing the threat of the blade. This is no ordinary livestock. It is the legendary Chiru in Chinese mythology, literally translated as vision meat, sight meat. According to the Shanhai Jing, Chiru is often found near the burial grounds of ancient emperors. It is a miraculous substance that never diminishes. No matter how much you carve away, it regenerates completely within days. In ancient medical classics like the Shenlong Bencao Jing, it is referred to as 肉灵芝, the meat Ganoderma, a supreme treasure believed to nourish one's vital energy and grant immortality. This concept of everlasting meat draws a fascinating parallel to Norse mythology. For, the god of thunder, would feast upon his goats, Tangrisnir and Tangdroster, only to resurrect them the next day with his hammer. Here we see the maid hanging the leftover meat back on the hook. Maybe in just a few days, this divine ingredient will be whole once again. Next, another creature enters the scene. With long, disheveled hair veiling its face and a thriving miniature landscape growing from its head, this entity carries an ornate wooden box. Its half-human, half-arboreal form suggests it may be a wood spirit evolved from an ancient plant, or a gui, in deep symbiosis with nature. I'd rather call it the bonsai guy. As the box set down, the camera reveals a crane motif on the lid which hints that something truly extraordinary lies inside. As the cover is lifted, we see a small, horned, baby-like creature with a sprout resembling green chives growing from its back. The maid gently snaps off the verdant stalk, reminds me of the mandrake. Perhaps the humanoid part is a sensitive root that must be kept in a box to prevent it from being woken up, screaming or escaping. Or maybe it's a supernatural variation of Ophiocordyceps sinensis. A gui in winter, but a grass in summer. Most intriguingly, the crane motif points to the Taoist Zhongnanshan Shuangsheng, the double saints of Zhongnan Mountain, Zhong Kui and Liu Haichan. Legend says Patriarch Liu Haichan could transform into a crane. If so, this baby chive might be a precious gift from the patriarch. Now we have the rare Chiru, the divine Chiru, and a gift from a Taoist immortal. The sheer scale of this dish is quite legendary. Following this, we can see a parade of breathtaking mimicry ingredients. Lettuce stalks shaped like locusts, Chiru. Lotus roots. Fresh bamboo shoots tipped with succulent shrimp tails, white carrot. Turning our gaze to the mortar and pestle, we can see two small, crimson-skinned creatures struggling to climb the mortar. Judging by their movements, they seem to be uninvited intruders who accidentally tumbled into the mortar. Zooming in, we can see that they have a pair of hands emerges from their eye sockets, with yet another set of eyes nestled in the palms. Some speculate they are citizens of Shenmu Guo, the deep-eyed kingdom from Shanhaijing. However, ancient records describe those people as having only one hand and one eye. Instead, these creatures bear a striking resemblance to Yang Ren, a high-ranking official from Fengshen Yanyi, the investiture of the gods. After being blinded by a tyrant, Yang Ren was granted golden pills that grew hands from his eyes, allowing him to see into both heaven and hell. These minor creatures seem to be a creative homage to that legendary figure. But did they meet a grim end? We see the maid turn around and immediately begin crushing spices with the pestle. As uninvited guests, perhaps they weren't even noticed, or maybe, given they are supernatural creatures, they may vanish just in time to avoid being crushed. As the bonsai guy crouches to tend the fire, the maid beckons him over and casually plucks a fruit from his head. This movement is so natural that it seems like this living plant is nothing more than her personal living spice rack. At last, the big guy who has been looming in the background takes center stage. A thick crude suture runs across his waist, showing the creature was once sliced in half and sewn back together. Some speculate this is Xu Hao Gui, supposedly cleaved by Zhong Kui and forced into service. However, I found a more compelling lead in the Qing Dynasty novel Zhong Kui Zhan Gui Zhuan. In that tale, Zhong Kui, frustrated by the slowness of the Wensi Gui and the recklessness of the Mao Shi Gui, sliced them both in half and stitched them together. Since the Wensi Gui was originally a cook, his presence in this kitchen makes sense. Aside from this massive scar, the big guy lacks any other distinct features, making it difficult to confirm his true mythological origin. Meanwhile, the bonsai guy starts adding wood to another stove. This poor fellow takes multitasker of the kitchen and acts as a living spice rack. Now, despite having a literal forest fire hazard growing on his head, he needs to tending the flames. So pitiful and hilarious. After grinding the spices, the maid takes a cup to the adjacent storage room and scoops out some liquid from one of the many cans. Given that ancient brewing techniques often left spirits unfiltered, this liquid is probably huangjiu, the yellow wine, though it could also be a specialized condiment like aged soy sauce or vinegar. Returning to the kitchen, oil the wok and drop in the spices, the maid begins to stir-fry these ingredients. Hearing the commotion, the balding Gui instantly turns around and pulls a Taoist talisman Fulu from his sleeve and tosses it into the hearth. The fire reacts immediately, surging into a fierce blaze under the talisman's empowerment. In Western fantasy or modern RPGs, we are familiar with magic scrolls. They are vessels that store a pre-recorded spell to be released later. However, what the balding Gui uses here is a Taoist Fulu, and its logic is fundamentally different. Fulu is not a storage for magic. It is more like a celestial decree or a divine mandate. When a practitioner draws a talisman, they aren't storing power in the paper. Through intricate sigils and rituals, they are establishing a direct connection to the divine realm. When the talisman is used, it's not an explosion of stored energy, it is the execution of a heavenly order, summoning the gods or spirits to manifest their will and power. In brief, using Fulu is a way to perform magic. Back to the video, we can notice that the balding Gui just uses the Fulu without waiting for an order. This seamless coordination suggests he isn't just a low-level servant. Among these helpers, he is the most human one, yet he possesses the knowledge to perform magic on his own. In such a world of spirits and monsters, his true identity remains a mystery. The maid stir-fries the ingredients and stirs them into the soup. In the background, the big guy silently replaces the pot while the bonsai guy prepares the oil. The entire kitchen is organized very well. Tasting the broth directly from spatula, our maid seems satisfied with the flavor. Now we reach the final, soulful ingredient, Guoba, crisp rice. Originally just the scorched layer at the bottom of a rice pot, it has evolved into a delicious snack. As the maid handles Guoba, she burns her finger and instinctively touches her earlobe to cool down. This subtle reflex and tasting flavor from spatula before are iconic behaviors in traditional Chinese kitchens. Game science truly did a very detailed job. As the boiling, savory soup is poured over the golden snack, this Zhong Kui dish is finally complete. According to art director Yang Qi, the creative inspiration for this CG sequence traces back to a story titled You Ping Peng Gui, Cooking Ghosts in an Oil Bottle, from the classic Zi Bu Yu. In a creative twist, game science transformed the traditional, raw image of Zhong Kui, known for swallowing gui alive, into a refined form of culinary art. And this supernatural dish, which kept the kitchen busy, has a real-world prototype, Huang Yu Guoba Tang, the yellow croaker rice crust soup. Using the base of fresh yellow croaker to create a milky, rich broth. The boiling soup is poured over golden, freshly fried rice crusts. As the guoba soaks up the savory essence, the crispy texture of the rice crust intertwines and collides with the rich and delicious flavor of the fish soup. It's a feast for the taste. With cutting-edge digital technology and extreme attention to details, game science has printed this cuisine successfully. As night falls, the scene shifts. A mysterious man in a sack is shoved into the hall, escorted by a hulking guard. We can see the guard wears heavy bracers and seems to have 3 horns atop his head. He is likely one henchman of Zhong Kui. The mysterious man is also armored, his hands bound by a rope fitted with small bells that jingle with every movement, to prevent him from escaping. Then, the maid enters, delivering the freshly prepared soup. Pay close attention to her eyes here. Her gaze lingers and pauses. It's a complex mix of curiosity and caution, as if she is expectant, yet there's a hint of shyness. Then the guard pulls off the mysterious man's sack. The screen cuts to black instantly and reveals, Year of the Horse Special. This content is non-canon and unrelated to the main storyline. So who exactly is this mysterious sacked man? On social media, Game Science CEO Feng Ji jokingly claimed the role for himself. I did the motion capture for that guy in the burlap sack. We ended up using the sack because we couldn't fix the hair clipping issues, for real. And art director Yang Qi responded back, you don't even have hair, how could there be clipping issues? No wonder that the producers value this mysterious person quite a lot. As for his identity, there are too many possibilities. Maybe future game protagonist, maybe a prisoner desired for a feast, or maybe the former Zhong Kui without power. The most widely guessed is that the mysterious man is Du Ping, friend and eventual brother-in-law of Zhong Kui. And the maid is likely Zhong Kui-ri's sister, Zhong Mei, explaining her elevated status. In folklore, Du Ping once selflessly supported Zhong Kui during his darkest days. To repay this debt of gratitude, the guard later orchestrated the famous Zhong Kui Jia Mei, the Zhong Kui marrying of his sister. This abduction-style meeting we see in the video might just be Zhong Kui-ri's uniquely hardcore way of matchmaking. And the bowl of soup, brimming with the essence of mountains and seas, with so many rare ingredients, isn't just a meal but also a heartfelt gift and a token of gratitude from a sister to her future husband. Even though Game Science issued a disclaimer stating this CG has no connection to the final storyline, we know their style too well. Based on their qualities of diligence and thrift, it's hard to believe such stunningly modeled characters would only appear once. Perhaps in the full release of Black Myth, Zhong Kui, these mysterious figures will reunite with us in another form. Then we can unveil the secrets and stories behind them. So this is it, my full analysis of Black Myth Zhong Kui, 6-minute in-engine Chinese New Year special video. Sorry for the delay, I've clearly been struggling with a serious case of procrastination. Perhaps the procrastinating Gui in me needs a session with Zhong Kui Blade. I'm Moon, and this is my very first video on YouTube. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the folklore and legends behind games, please subscribe and join me on this journey. Your support means a lot to a new creator like me. Thanks for watching this. I'll see you around in the next video.
Hey, you. You're finally awake.